Oh my God, that is a beautiful black queen. Oh, sorry, right here. Where'd you get this from, bro?
Hey, bro, I'm not even gonna lie, you know what I'm saying, bro? You left it in the corner over there, you know what I'm saying?
Perhaps the most famous and forever talked about study in the space is the 2009 OkCupid study, which was covered in this 2013 NPR article stating pretty much the obvious. Odds favor white men and Asian women on dating apps. As for men, non-black men applied a penalty to black women, while black men showed little preference either way, okay. But for women, all women preferred men of their own race, which pretty much states the obvious. And there was a penalty applied to both Asian and black men, something that you'll come to understand when you go and spend time in Asia, because many Asian men lament their dating difficulties as well.
Why do all the mid-looking white guys get all the hot girls? Fair take,
And
though.
I said that.
I know. Yeah.
And by no means am I saying I'm the creme de la creme.
Yeah, you are. You are.
You know, it's what it is. It's what it is.
Some things don't need to be seen.
Yeah, some things need to be said. So, like I said, I'm not going to say it,
Yeah.
but, you know, the proof's in the pudding, if you
100%.
will.
And what a pudding it is.
The study, of course, showed that the great overwhelming number of responses tended towards white men, which again is not a surprise. And even for the response rates for black women, maybe even trends more towards white men 15 years after the study. You can see on the other end, black men got the lowest response rates. But this is 2009, and to be fair,
Yeah, now, well, the thing about the old days, they the old days.
for anyone seeking evidence of my hypothesis as to how this chart has changed in the last 15 years, the conversation around Travis Kelce has been a very interesting one.
You thought you were going to marry him?
I did.
Were you in love with him?
I was. He met my parents. I had a key to his penthouse.
There seems to be a group of women who have almost taken ownership of his dating options.
Like, it was only him for, that's what I'm saying. And I feel like black women have like set white men that we would like kind of try it a little bit with.
Oh, Travis Kelce's one of them?
Travis Kelce was one of them, and Justin Timberlake was one of them.
In a way that it's almost affecting them personally, to the point where even some of the very popular YouTubers who are swirlers, if you will, which I have no issue with, we can date who we like, but even they seem to have a level of embarrassment.
I saw where black women were joking about Travis having less swag now that he's with Taylor. And I'm not saying that any of that is untrue, but I just don't think black women should care this much.
One subscriber to a popular swirly YouTuber said, "God, I'm embarrassed by the black men questioning him. Child, we don't gotta weigh in on everything." Another commenter said, "We are so used to black men being negative to black women that we expect white men being negative to white women. No, no, no. Other men prefer their own women, which is true, which was shown in the study, or at the very least, don't bash them like that. Let's pay this no mind, ladies." But again, with the response, you can see that there's a group of women that said, why is there so much uproar over this man choosing to date someone in his own race? Which shows that the landscape, at least back home, has changed quite a bit. And then the icing on the cake was a very prominent YouTuber wrote a post saying, "Here, the decentralization of males is the focus. I don't just tell you to decenter males, I change your faulty patriarchal programming so you too see the true God is the divine feminine, and that in and of itself will be a strong enough foundation to catapult you into the decentralization process." The point of all of this is that dating in the black community has become so fractured and so fraught with trepidation on both ends. For young women who have gotten a college degree, or they're moving up in their corporation or whatever, and maybe they're still feminine, they're surrounded by so many different voices pulling them in directions away from being traditionally feminine. And then on the other end, you have a lot of average to above average guys who may not present a certain way, and they're just being told that they're not worth any value until they hit 100K. And so it's just a mess, really. But unfortunately,
These are the breaks.
one of the best pieces of advice that you'll get from people who have been overseas and they're telling you how to build a life in a foreign country, as opposed to just going to a country and, I guess, essentially taking from the culture and enjoying the women, is be careful about womanizing. And this TikTok is going to explain why you should.
By the time we land in Nairobi, that man, that white man, will be approached by 10 women and I'll have 0. What does that tell you? Like, Kenya still has this colonial mindset where they think the white man is the ticket to, I don't know what, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, right?
One thing I think is important for passport bros to be aware of, and you can't be naive in this, is that you have to understand that we're still on Earth. I remember in a couple of situations, there were young ladies that I wanted to date that I had chosen as opposed to women that had chosen me. And they pretty much let me know that I'm not the kind of guy that they wanted. And I learned a very important lesson in that. It's better to be chosen than to choose, because things are what they are. And a good number of people, no matter where you go, are still going to choose the way that they choose on dating apps in America. He continues.
So even you're handsome, I'm handsome. But the white man just brings this added advantage to them, either class, either whatever. And you find like most of these women, they're treated really bad with these white guys. They're treated like dogs, if you wanna call it that. But they'll rather stick with that person for their own image than actually have a quality life.
You can understand the palpable frustration of this gentleman as more and more men become passport bros and have the opportunity to settle overseas. They're hopefully making friends with the locals, because the locals will show you the lay of the land and teach you things that you can't figure out otherwise. But those locals are dealing with issues very similar to what many American men are dealing with, where a generation or two previous, they would have been able to marry a woman of a certain stature and have no issues with pairing and creating a family. But now, with an increased number of men coming from first world countries coming in and taking some of those women, those men are now having difficulties finding a mate.
Why don't you like Asian guys?
Asian guys remind me of my brother.
Every Asian guy I've been around with, people assume they're my brother.
I don't want to be mistaken as your brother and sister.
No dating Asians sort of policy. You kind of look a bit like my brother.
And so guys coming into these countries should be aware and cognizant of this, and you should not throw it in these men's faces, because first of all, it's dangerous. Instead, you should do one of two things. Either one, if you're going to date a woman of a certain stature that's marriageable, date one at a time, do right by her, and make sure that you are showing the community that you're not just there so that you can exploit their natural resource of women and then go home and tell stories about it. Or B, date women that are explicitly there for that purpose. 3 quick points, because I want guys to understand that instead of being hopeless or anything like that, just understand that we're living in a world that's real and a world that's changing. And the first one is, don't take it personal. There are some girls who see a guy that's on television and they want to marry or be with a guy that looks like that guy on television, and that guy simply doesn't look like you. And if she wants a guy that looks a certain way and that guy just doesn't look like you, it is what it is. Find the girl that wants to choose you and not the girl that you choose. The second thing is, you don't always win when someone picks you on your outside features. And I've seen this many times where someone just has a look that is prominent in many movies and they get chosen because of that reason, and maybe the other intangibles aren't there and the relationship just doesn't really turn into a very healthy one, because it's just based on something that the guy can't control. And I've seen a lot of mismatched relationships where they just don't play themselves out well because she was hoping for the package to be something that mirrored something in a movie, as opposed to just a guy who just was happy to be there. And third, be the change. And one of the reasons why you probably see the kind of low numbers for people reaching out to black men is because, quite simply, in many countries, they don't even know black men. They don't know any examples of black men except for the images they've seen on television. So when you're the black guy who goes to a situation, goes to a country, and instead of being the guy that's womanizing, you're a guy that's participating in the community, you're helping people build businesses, you're adding to the group, and you're doing things that reflect well on being a just good local citizen, you're showing yourself not just as the kind of person that would add to a community, but the kind of person that would make a good husband. And regardless of all the kind of negative press that we see, or a lot of the things that we're hearing on TikTok and YouTube, there are a lot of black men who have simply not had the opportunity to demonstrate themselves as a good family leader and as a husband. And if you go to a situation where you prove yourself as a valuable piece of the community and someone allows you to marry into their family and you show that you are a net benefit to that family, That's going to do wonders for the overall way that people view not just black men, but you. Be mindful of this. Add to the community, and you'll see in time that many of the negative stigmas about black men as we go overseas are not just going to dissipate, they're going to get rewritten. And that tax is going to go away. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. I'll catch you next video. Take care, guys.